For my first lesson that I taught in the schools, I taught local government and social studies and measurement and math. For this first lesson plan that I'm submitting, I combined the two because that's how I did for my unit. But when I taught them separately because the school I was at was decompartmentalized, so I was with two separate teachers. I was with a third grade teacher who taught second and third grade math and science half of the day, and that's who I was with when I did my math lesson. And this math lesson is on measurement, and it was mainly a review. I was supposed to teach a different lesson. That's what me and her had planned, and then they were struggling, so we went backwards and she let me teach that lesson. So mainly this day we did a review on how to use a ruler. Over half the students were using their rulers improperly, so she wanted me to reintroduce that and just kind of do a review lesson with them on that and go around and make sure each one was doing it right, do some one-on-one with each student while she showed more slideshows or showed more images on the board. I went around and helped each student. So that was, I really enjoyed this lesson. It was neat to work one-on-one. Especially, there was a student in there who was an ELL learner. She spoke no English at all. And she had just moved here from the Middle East, or she was Middle Eastern. I'm not sure where she moved from, but she spoke no English. So it was definitely interesting working with her on the ruler. She caught on fast to that, but when we did word problems, it was very difficult to communicate with her because she didn't speak English and I didn't speak her language. So, but it was interesting working with a student who didn't speak English, definitely. But on this lesson with the rulers, she caught on very fast. I was able to show her with my hands, just guiding her and showing her, most of the students wanted to start on the one, wanted to start measuring using the one instead of starting on the edge of the ruler. And so that's mainly what we were stressing for this lesson, because that was the problem. That was why we had to do another review. And they were getting centimeters and inches mixed up, and we were measuring in centimeters for this lesson. All we did for this lesson was I put my ruler, I passed out rulers to all the students, and we stressed to them not to put them in their mouth or bend them. Two students got in trouble for doing that, and the teacher got onto them. I didn't. But and I demonstrated. She had a hover cam, and the board showed what I was doing, and then I was able to write on the board. I used the hover cam, and then I was able to write on the board as I did that. So we put up images on the board. We had 10 different images that we used in the amount of time we had, and we were measuring. That was just strictly what we were doing for this lesson, just a review and making sure. I went around to each student and made sure that they had their ruler correctly. Over half of them didn't, and it was easier to show them one-on-one. There was a large group of kids. It was 27 kids in the classroom. A few were absent, but just 27 kids in the class, so it was a large amount of kids, and most of them struggle with paying attention, so it was helpful to take that day to do the one-on-one. So that's what she wanted me to do with them. So that's what I did for that lesson. We measured images the whole time and went around and made sure they were using the ruler properly. For the social studies lesson I did that day, it was on local government, and I went with, it was the computer lab teacher. She taught several different classes. It's a very small school, so their teachers are kind of spread out. But she does a unit a week because they switch from social studies to science. So she was stressing to me how she had to get all the units she needed done in the amount of time. They switch every 9 weeks from social studies to science. So she wanted me to teach the lesson on what she had. And so for this day, it was local government. and she gave me the outline of the lesson, and so I just kind of did what she normally did, and they were only in there 40 minutes, so it was kind of hard, but the first lesson was kind of rocky, but we got the hang of it. For the motivation, we did a video on local local government on Brain Pop Junior was the website she liked to show the videos on, and at the end of the video there was a quiz, so the students were able to orally say out loud the questions, the answers to the questions. And then next, I read the chapter to them, and she had outlined, which points she wanted me to stress. So I would go, and as I was reading, obviously I would make sure they were following along, which was difficult because we were in a computer lab classroom, and they couldn't sit at the chairs, so they were in the floor in front of me, and there's about 27 kids in the floor, and so it was a little chaotic. So mainly these lessons were on classroom management. I got a lot of experience in that with social studies because of the environment we were in, and they were all spread out on the floor with their worksheets and their books scattered. We had to pass out books. It took 10 minutes to pass out the books, so it really was 30 minutes for the lesson, so it was very quick. But I had to read the chapter, and they were supposed to be following along. She had a hover cam as well, and I put it on the board, and so they were able to see me as I was following along, and it was pretty easy to see which parts she wanted me to stop and discuss about because of how the book was set up. So that was really neat to see that. I would have to stop. She really wanted me to stress that a mayor is the leader of a local government, because this quiz at the end of the week was going to be on government, and so she wanted them to know the difference between local, state, and the president. They were getting mixed up, getting the mayor and the governor and the president mixed up, so she really wanted me to stress each lesson that I did regarding this, that, each one. So I repeated several times that a mayor was the leader of a local government. I read the chapter, and we discussed several points, and then we were supposed to work the worksheet page. They have a worksheet booklet that they do each week for each unit, and she takes them up on Fridays. They do their tests on Fridays, and they do their worksheet packets as a test grade as well, and if they don't have it, they receive a 0. So we were supposed to do the worksheet page, and this day we did not have time, so they were assigned that for homework, the first sheet of the worksheet page. So for this lesson plan, I outlined everything that I did in both classes, and I put them together how I would have taught if we had been in a classroom that was self-contained. I would have mixed the measuring with the social studies. So, for example, when we were going over some of the social studies stuff in the book, I would have asked them to take the rulers and measure from point A to point B and pointed out that. And I have that in my lesson plan, but I was unable to do it in the classroom. But I liked being able to see the difference in the teachers and see the difference in the environment. So I was grateful for that opportunity. Even though my lesson plans weren't exactly how I had planned, it was nice to be able to improvise and see how that's like as a teacher will be. So that was my lesson 1.